If you think AI in 2026 is still just about clever apps and cool new tools, you're already missing the bigger picture. The game has completely changed. We've moved way beyond simply using AI. The real future is about architecting it.
You know, the era of just playing around with AI, of treating it like an experiment, that's officially over. As this slide says, AI isn't some passing trend anymore. It's the new bedrock of how work gets done. For pretty much every professional out there, it's not an optional add-on. It's the core engine.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question, right? Everyone's buzzing about the latest app or the newest model, and the whole landscape is just crowded. So where do you place your bets? What's the one skill that's actually going to move the needle for your career or for your business? To answer that, first we need to get a really clear picture of what we're working with. So let's do a quick tour of the powerful, mature tools that are now basically table stakes for anyone in the professional world. First up, let's talk visual AI. And I'm not talking about those clunky, kind of weird-looking images from a couple of years ago. No way. In 2026, the quality of AI-generated visuals has reached a level that is truly cinematic.
Just think for a second about what this means. You can generate photorealistic images for a marketing campaign using Midjourney. You can basically direct a short film just by typing a script into Kling AI. You can even create an entire animated story with characters that actually stay consistent using something like Higgsfield. Professional-grade visuals are no longer out of reach. They're sitting right on your desktop.
And it's the exact same story for audio. The whole debate over whether AI voices sound robotic, yeah, that's officially dead and buried. The realism we're hearing now is just incredible. And this isn't just a cool party trick. This kind of realism is creating entirely new income streams. Tools like 11 Labs can capture genuine emotion and tone, while platforms like Murph.ai are powering a whole new wave of side hustles. We're talking audiobooks, global marketing campaigns, content dubbing, all accessible from your laptop, creating jobs that flat out didn't exist a few years ago. All right, finally, let's talk about the cognitive tools. The most important shift here isn't just about raw power. It's about how we think about them. We're moving away from the idea of a simple assistant. These are now our digital partners.
The capabilities are honestly staggering. ChatGPT 5.2 can act like a project strategist remembering context from months ago. Gemini can look at video, read text, and analyze code all in a single query. And then you have tools like AutoDev that are automating entire development cycles. So we're not talking about simple tasks anymore. We are talking about managing serious complexity.
So with a toolbox this powerful, a new gold rush has officially begun. Let's take a look at how people are turning these capabilities into actual, tangible income right now.
This chart just perfectly illustrates the straight line from a tool to a paycheck. Using something like Murph.ai, a freelancer can deliver a professional voiceover and make a couple $100. With that same tool, they can dub a video for a company going global and make $500. Or they can take on a bigger project like an e-learning course and pull in $1,000. The barrier to entry for these lucrative fields has completely collapsed.
But, hype is one thing, and reality is another. So let's cut through all the noise and hear from the people who are actually in the trenches. What are business owners who've implemented these tools really finding? What actually works? And what's just a waste of time? Here is a perfect, concrete example from the front lines. One founder reported saving 12 hours every single week. That's more than a full workday just by automating one repetitive task, writing proposals. This is where the real value is hiding. And that experience reveals a very, very clear pattern. On the left, you see the wins. These are internal, process-driven tasks. Automating your standard operating procedures, speeding up code development, putting your social media on autopilot. But on the right, look at the fails. These are tasks that require nuance, judgment, and a genuine human connection. Customers hate AI support chatbots. People can spot AI-powered personalized outreach from a mile away. And it's terrible at making high-level strategic decisions. So the crucial lesson here is summed up in this fantastic quote from an entrepreneur. AI is an incredible engine for grunt work. It will execute perfectly defined tasks tirelessly 24/7. But the moment you ask it to make a judgment call or architect a solution from scratch, it completely falls apart. And this brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The biggest opportunity in 2026 isn't about being the best user of any single tool. It's about graduating to a higher level of thinking. It's about building the systems themselves. This new, high-value skill has a name: Agentic AI Orchestration. Now, don't let the jargon fool you. All it really means is designing interconnected systems of digital employees that can execute complex workflows from start to finish without needing a human to step in and babysit them. This is the new frontier.
And just look at the difference in mindset. The tool user focuses on executing one little task. The architect, on the other hand, focuses on designing the entire system. The tool user bills for their time, but the architect captures a piece of the total value their system creates. You're no longer just a service provider. You become a solutions builder.
So how do you actually build one? Well, it really comes down to a 5-layer system. First, you need a model. That's the brain, like GPT 5.2 that does the thinking. Second, you need orchestration. That's the conductor that tells all the other parts what to do. Third, you give it tooling. Those are the hands that can actually perform actions using APIs and code. And finally, you give it memory so it can remember what it's done and an evaluation loop to act as quality control. That right there, that's the blueprint for an autonomous system.
And why does this matter? Because this shift toward autonomous agentic systems is what's fueling the explosive growth of the entire AI market, which is projected to rocket past $1 trillion. This is where all the economic energy is concentrating.
And if you want to know where the highest demand for these architects is, look no further. Healthcare, finance, and legal services. I mean, think about it. These are complex, heavily regulated industries with very deep pockets, and they are desperately seeking experts who can build reliable, autonomous systems to navigate all that complexity.
So what's your starting toolkit? Well, you need an AI-native development environment like Cursor, which lets you build twice as fast. You need to master an orchestration platform, something like LangGraph. And you need a professional certification from a major player like OpenAI or Microsoft to signal to the market that you really know your stuff. So we come right back to that fundamental choice. The tools are here, they are incredibly powerful, and they are available to everyone. The question you have to ask yourself is this: are you going to spend the next few years just using those tools? Or are you going to be one of the few who steps up to architect the future of how work itself gets done?